Hi, I'm Joannie Duris, and I wrote this book, B is for Berkshires, which has photographs by Jillian Jones. And this isn't an ordinary alphabet book because Jillian and my editor and I, we all worked closely together. We came up with a long list of ideas for topics for the letters, and we didn't want something ordinary like A is for apple. And once we had the long list of letters and topics, our editor made the final selection for what each letter would be about. And the Berkshires are in Western Massachusetts, and you can kind of tell from the cover the types of things you might find there. There's some clues. So what might you find there? What do you see? And I know there's going to be some cows there, that's for sure. Before you even get to the letter A, you're going to want to explore the end papers because there's lots more clues here for what you might find out in the Berkshires. So once I knew the topics for each letter, I really looked for cool stuff to write about so that it would also be fun for you to read. And I focused on a blend of science, history, and culture. So hopefully there's a bit of something that's interesting there for everybody. And it turned out that my research was really like a scavenger hunt. And I created this B is for Berkshires Fun Facts Scavenger Hunt. And you can find your own copy of this on the activities page on my website. What I did is I took a handful of my favorite topics and I included them on this hunt page. So it'll be your job to discover which letter includes that fun fact. For example, I wrote about a cave where bad guys hid out a long time ago. And I also wrote about a place where it rains inside a mountain. I wrote about a bear who loves ice cream. And I also discovered a place in the Berkshires where they have upside down trees. So how cool is that, huh? Now, how many of you need to write papers for school? I know I did my fair share. And so you know, writing is a lot of rewriting and revising and doing research. And I certainly did a lot of that while I was writing this book. And I ended up revising each letter between 3 and 7 times before I even sent it to my editor. And once I finished the entire alphabet, I totaled up things on my computer and discovered I had written 127 drafts to make this book perfect. And I wanted to give you a behind-the-scenes look at the process I went through for writing one of the letters. And this is for the letter Q. And this is my first draft, and it gives you a little secret about the creative process. It's okay to be messy. Because most of my first drafts look like this. And I like to write on paper because it gives me a chance just to scribble everything down, cross things out, rearrange things, whatever I need to do, and eventually I'll get to the point that I can write it all up on my computer. And this is what a manuscript page looked like for the letter Q. It's for Quarry. And this was the 5th draft that I finally emailed to my editor. And you can see some handwritten notes on the bottom. And those are the things that my editor made a few final changes on before it went to the printers. And what I'd like to do next is take a look at the final version for the letter Q in the book. And this is Q is for Quarry. And what I wanted to point it out is all the letters in this book have what's called a layered text. And there's 4 different parts to each page. So depending on the age of the people reading the book or listening to the book, you may only want to do part of each page. So the topic and the poem might be good reading for the youngest listeners. And then the more detailed text will be perfect for older kids and adults who might want to find out more about that topic. And then each page has a sentence on the bottom which lists a whole bunch of other things that you can find in the Berkshires that start with that same letter. So it adds a whole nother element to the scavenger hunt for the book. So Q is for Quarry. Workers cut the hillside rocks, slicing nature's building blocks. The Berkshires are rich in rocks. Shallow seas once covered this area, but mountain-building forces and ancient volcanoes changed the landscape 500 million years ago. What was once below water transformed into limestone, marble, granite, soapstone, schist, and slate. Workers have harvested these rocks from hillside quarries for hundreds of years. Berkshire marble is part of the U.S. Capitol, the Senate, and the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Quarries throughout the area still provide gravel and rock for buildings, tombstones, walkways, and more. Many old quarries have closed, but you can explore the abandoned marble quarry near the Natural Bridge in North Adams, or visit the historic Beckett Granite Quarry to see the rusted remains of trucks, sheds, and a derrick used long ago. Then Q is also for questing, which is a place you can visit in New Marlborough. It's also for quartzite, quilts, and quirky art. And this was a photo of the Natural Bridge State Park in North Adams. And those cliffs that you see are where the old abandoned quarry was in North Adams. And if you follow that road along the side there, you will end up at the Natural Bridge. And that is the only known natural marble bridge in the entire United States. So I thought that was pretty cool when I found that out. And I wrote this book in a very mixed up order. In fact, A was the last letter that I wrote. So you can kind of skip around when you're reading the book too. Maybe start with the letter that starts with the same letter as your name. But I'm going to jump from the letter Q all the way back to the letter D, because that's one of my favorite pictures in the entire book. And you can see why. That little guy is absolutely adorable. And as you can see, D is for dairy. And this is what I wrote. Dairy farmers make simple vows. Cherish the land, keep happy cows. As caretakers of the land, dairy farmers use sustainable farming practices. This means they enrich the soil, putting more into the land than they take out. Cows produce tons of manure, providing free fertilizer for the fields. Throughout the Berkshires, these farmers provide more than just milk, cheese, and other dairy products. Visitors are welcome at Cricket Creek Farm in Williamstown, and that's where that little guy lived, where they also sell baked goods and vegetables and raise pigs and chickens. Signs point you to the animals. All their cows have names, and calves are bottle fed twice a day. Then cows rule at Highland Farm in Lee. They have water beds and milking robots. Cool, milking robots. Cows choose when they want to be milked. They even activate a giant rolling brush whenever they want a good scrubbing. D is also for downhill skiing, dance, deer, drumlins, dams, and the Deerfield River. And I bet a bunch of you are dying to see those milking robots. So you can go to my website, click on the Fun Stuff page, then click on Berkshire Extras, and then scroll down to the letter D for dairy. And there you'll find a link for Highland Farm's video with all those happy cows and those milking robots. So I wanted to thank you for joining me. And I hope you enjoyed exploring the Berkshires and have fun on your own scavenger hunt.